The impact sent Arya sprawling across the polished hallway floor, her books scattering like fallen leaves as Brittany's perfectly manicured hand shoved her backward for the third time this week. Pain flared in her shoulder where it hit the lockers, but it was nothing compared to the burning sensation crawling beneath her skin, the one that made her wolf snarl and claw at the cage of her human form, demanding to be released, demanding blood. Arya's eyes flashed amber for a single dangerous heartbeat before she forced them back to their normal hazel, her fingernails digging crescents into her palms as she fought the shift that would expose everything she'd spent 3 years hiding. Wait, before the next revelation unfolds, if this mystery has already captivated you, let us know where you're following this story from. To ensure you don't miss unexpected claims, broken bonds, or awakenings under the moon, subscribe and stay close. Now, back to the scene. "Oops," Brittany said, her voice dripping with false sweetness as she stood over Arya with her 2 friends flanking her like bodyguards. "Didn't see you there, scholarship girl. Maybe if you weren't so busy trying to blend in with people way out of your league, you'd learn to watch where you're going." Arya remained on the floor, counting her breaths the way her mother had taught her. 1, 2, 3. The wolf inside her prowled, restless and furious. 4, 5, 6. Her muscles trembled with the effort of restraint. Around them, students flowed past like water around stones, some glancing over with pity, others with amusement, but none stopping. That was the way of Crescent Valley Academy, where the wealthy and powerful sent their children to be groomed for greatness, and where someone like Arya, a nobody on a scholarship, was barely worth acknowledging. "What's wrong?" Brittany crouched down, her designer jeans probably costing more than Arya's entire wardrobe. "Cat got your tongue? Or are you just too scared to talk back?" Arya looked up, meeting Brittany's perfectly lined eyes with a calm she didn't feel. "I'm not scared of you." The words came out steady, controlled. What Brittany didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Arya came from the Silvermane pack, one of the oldest Lycan bloodlines in North America. Her great-great-grandfather had been an alpha, her grandmother a renowned warrior. But when her father died in a challenge 5 years ago, her mother had taken Arya and fled, choosing exile over the brutal pack politics that would have consumed them both. They'd suppressed their wolves, lived among humans, pretended to be ordinary. But the wolf never forgot, and it never forgave being caged. "You should be," Brittany said, standing up and deliberately stepping on Arya's calculus notebook, grinding her heel into the cover. "This school has a hierarchy, and you're at the bottom. The sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be." As Brittany walked away with her friends, their laughter echoing down the hallway, Arya gathered her books with shaking hands. The late bell rang, meaning she'd be marked tardy for AP History again. Mr. Chen already looked at her like she was wasting her scholarship, like she didn't belong among the sons and daughters of tech moguls and old money. "You okay?" The voice was male, deep and warm like honey, and it made every nerve in Arya's body light up in a way that had nothing to do with anger. She looked up to find Kai Morrison standing over her, his hand extended, his dark eyes filled with genuine concern. Kai, who was everything Crescent Valley represented, wealthy, handsome, popular, and completely out of her league. He was also, based on the way her wolf suddenly went very still and alert, something more than human. She could smell it on him now that he was close, pine and earth and that unmistakable musk of shifter. Her wolf rose curiously, sniffing, analyzing. Not Lycan. Something else. Panther, maybe? Or wolf from a different bloodline. "I'm fine," Arya said, ignoring his hand and pulling herself up. She couldn't risk the touch. Shifters could sometimes sense each other through physical contact, and she'd worked too hard to keep her secret safe. But Kai didn't seem offended. He bent down and picked up her chemistry textbook, holding it out with a half-smile that did dangerous things to her composure. Brittany's been on a warpath lately. Her dad's company is going through some merger drama, and she takes it out on anyone she thinks won't fight back. And you're telling me this because? Because you look like you want to fight back, and I want to make sure you know it's not worth it. His smile faded, replaced by something more serious. She's not worth the trouble you'd get into. Arya took the book from him, careful not to let their fingers touch. Thanks for the advice. Kai, a voice called from down the hall. We're going to be late for practice. He glanced back, then returned his attention to Arya. You're new this semester, right? Arya Thomas? The fact that he knew her name sent a flutter through her stomach that she firmly suppressed. That's me. If you need someone to show you around, or if Brittany gives you more trouble. He pulled out his phone, his thumbs moving quickly. What's your number? I don't think that's a good idea. The words came out harsher than she intended, but she needed distance. Getting involved with someone like Kai, someone popular, someone who was clearly a shifter, was exactly the kind of complication she couldn't afford. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt? Surprise? It was gone too quickly to tell. Right. Well, the offer stands anyway. See you around, Arya Thomas. He walked away before she could respond, leaving her standing alone in the now empty hallway with her books clutched to her chest and her wolf whining softly in confusion. It had been a long time since her wolf had responded to anyone that way, with interest rather than aggression or fear. Arya shook her head and headed to class, sliding into her seat just as Mr. Chen shot her a disapproving look. She spent the next hour staring at her notes without absorbing a single word, her mind replaying the encounter with Kai, analyzing the way her wolf had reacted, worrying about what it might mean. At lunch, she found her usual spot in the far corner of the cafeteria, a table near the windows where the noise was manageable and the crowds thin. She pulled out her sandwich, homemade, because cafeteria food was an expense her mother's salary as a diner waitress couldn't cover, and tried to focus on the assigned reading for English. Is this seat taken? Arya looked up to find a girl standing there with a tray of food and a friendly smile. She had dark skin, box braids pulled into a high ponytail, and an air of confidence that seemed at odds with her willingness to sit with the school outcast. It's all yours, Arya said cautiously. The girl sat down and extended her hand. I'm Maya. Before you ask, yes, I'm related to your history teacher. He's my uncle. And yes, he's always that grumpy. And before you wonder why I'm sitting here, it's because I watched Brittany shove you in the hallway this morning, and anyone who doesn't immediately cry or run away from that witch is someone I want to know. Despite herself, Arya smiled. Arya Thomas. I know. You're kind of famous, in a mysterious new scholarship girl kind of way. Maya bit into her burger with enthusiasm. Also, you should know that Kai Morrison asking for your number is basically legendary news. He doesn't date, like, ever. Girls have been throwing themselves at him since freshman year, and he just politely declines and moves on. So whatever you did, it clearly made an impression. I didn't do anything, Arya said, feeling heat creep up her neck. And I don't want to date anyone. I'm here to study and graduate. That's it. Uh-huh. Maya's expression was knowing. That's what they all say. Then, boom, Crescent Valley drama sucks you in. There's something about this place. Maybe it's the mountain air. Maybe it's the fact that everyone here has too much money and too little supervision. But nobody escapes unscathed. Arya wanted to argue, but something about Maya's openness made her want to trust her. What's his deal, anyway? Kai? Ah, so you are interested. I'm curious. There's a difference. Maya laughed. Fair enough. Kai Morrison, heir to Morrison Industries, which owns half the tech patents in Silicon Valley. His dad died when he was young, some kind of accident. And his mom remarried, but Kai's basically been groomed to take over the company since he was old enough to walk. He's smart, genuinely nice, and plays basketball like he was born for it. Also, there are rumors. What kind of rumors? Maya leaned in conspiratorially, that the Morrison family isn't entirely normal. Like, weird stuff happens around them. Nothing you can put your finger on, but there are stories. Security guards who quit after one night, business rivals who back down for no clear reason, that kind of thing. Arya's wolf stirred uneasily. If people were noticing, Kai and his family weren't being as careful as they should be. That's just rich people being rich people. Maybe, Maya shrugged. Or maybe there's more to this town than meets the eye. The rest of lunch passed in surprisingly easy conversation. Maya was funny, smart, and refreshingly blunt about Crescent Valley's social hierarchy. By the time the bell rang, Arya felt something she hadn't felt since arriving at the school, a tentative hope that maybe, just maybe, she could have a friend here. The rest of the day passed uneventfully until 7th period gym class. Arya changed into her school-issued athletic clothes, hyper-aware of keeping her eyes down and her movements unremarkable. But it was hard to be unremarkable when you had the enhanced strength and reflexes of a Lycan. She'd learned to hold back, to run slower than she wanted, to miss catches she could easily make, to be deliberately mediocre at everything physical. They were playing volleyball, which Arya normally found easy to navigate, until Brittany spiked the ball directly at her face. Instinct took over. Arya's hand shot up, catching the ball inches from her nose with a speed that made several people gasp. She'd moved too fast, way too fast. "Whoa," someone said. "Did you see that?" Brittany's eyes narrowed dangerously. Lucky catch. Arya forced her posture to relax, letting some of the shock show on her face like she couldn't believe she'd caught it either. Yeah, lucky. But she could feel eyes on her for the rest of class, measuring, wondering. And when she glanced toward the boys' basketball court visible through the gym windows, she caught Kai staring at her with an expression of intense curiosity. After class, as Arya was leaving the building, Brittany appeared with her usual entourage, blocking the exit. "We need to talk," Brittany said, her voice saccharine sweet, "about you staying in your lane." "I don't have time for this." Arya tried to step around her, but one of Brittany's friends, a tall blonde named Cassidy, moved to block her path. "Make time," Brittany said. "See, there's an order to things here, and you don't get to just show up and start attracting attention from people who matter." "People who matter?" Arya repeated, her temper fraying. "You mean Kai? I didn't ask for his attention." "But you have it, and that's a problem." Brittany stepped closer, and Arya could smell her designer perfume mixing with something else. Fear? Insecurity? "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay away from him, stop showing off in gym class, and remember that scholarship students are here to be grateful, not to make waves." The wolf snarled inside Arya's chest. Her vision sharpened, and she could see the rapid flutter of Brittany's pulse in her neck, could hear the slight tremor in her breathing that betrayed her false confidence. The girl was trying to establish dominance the way animals did in the wild, but she was playing with fire, and she had no idea. "Or what?" Arya asked quietly. The question seemed to catch Brittany off guard. She'd clearly expected submission, not challenge. "Or you'll regret it." "I've regretted a lot of things in my life," Arya said, her voice dropping to something harder, something that made her wolf's presence bleed through. "People like you aren't even on the list." She pushed past Brittany, ignoring the gasps from the watching students, ignoring the way her hands trembled with suppressed adrenaline. She made it to the parking lot before the shaking got worse, before her vision started to blur with amber, before she felt the first painful twinge of her bones beginning to shift. No, not here, not now. She ran toward the woods that bordered the school property, her backpack bouncing against her shoulders. The transformation was trying to claw its way out, triggered by stress and anger and too many weeks of suppression. She crashed into the tree line just as the first real wave of pain hit, her spine arching, her fingernails lengthening into claws. And then someone was there, hands on her shoulders, a voice low and urgent in her ear. "Easy. Breathe. You need to control it." Kai. Of course it was Kai. "Get away from me," she gasped, trying to pull away, but his grip was firm. "You're about to shift in broad daylight 50 yards from a school," he said. "So no, I'm not going anywhere. Now breathe and focus. Push it down." "I can't." "Yes, you can." His voice changed, taking on a tone of command that made her wolf reluctantly pause and listen. "You're stronger than this. I can smell your bloodline. You're Lycan, not some young wolf who can't control their first shift. So, control it, now." The authority in his voice, the certainty, gave her something to focus on. She grabbed onto it like a lifeline, using it to shove the transformation back down. It took several agonizing minutes, but finally, her bones stopped trying to reshape themselves, her skin stopped rippling, and she was fully human again. She sagged against a tree, her whole body shaking with exhaustion. Kai stepped back, giving her space, but his eyes never left her face. "How did you know?" she asked when she could speak again. "That you were a shifter. I've known since the first time I saw you." He leaned against a nearby tree, his posture casual but his gaze intense. "The real question is, what is a Lycan doing at Crescent Valley Academy pretending to be human?" Arya's mind raced, trying to figure out her options. She could run, she could lie, or she could trust him, this stranger who just stopped her from making the biggest mistake of her life. "My mother and I are in exile," she said finally. "We left our pack 5 years ago. We're trying to live normal lives." "Exile?" Kai's expression darkened. "From which pack?" "Silvermane." He straightened, his eyes widening slightly. "You're Silvermane? But that means—" He stopped, studying her with new intensity. "Arya Thomas isn't your real name." "It's close enough. And before you ask, no, I'm not going back. Whatever political drama is happening in the Lycan world, I want no part of it. I hate to break it to you, but the Lycan world doesn't care what you want." Kai ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely concerned. "The Silvermane pack has been looking for their lost alpha bloodline for years. If they find out you're here, they won't, because you're not going to tell them." She pushed away from the tree, standing on shaky legs. "And in return, I won't ask what you are or why you're pretending to be human too." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Panther. Black Panther shifter, to be specific. My family has been hiding in plain sight for 3 generations. Why? Same reason as you, probably. Safety. Freedom. A chance to live without pack politics and territorial disputes." He stepped closer. "But here's the thing, Arya. You can't keep suppressing your wolf like this. It's dangerous. Eventually, she'll break free, whether you want her to or not, and when she does, people will get hurt. I know how to manage my own wolf." "Do you?" Because from where I was standing, you were about 5 seconds away from shifting in front of half the school. His voice softened. "I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm trying to help. There's a place about 3 miles from here, deep in the mountains. It's protected, private. My family owns it. You can shift there safely. Let your wolf run. You need to." Arya wanted to refuse. Accepting his help meant letting him into her life, and that was dangerous for reasons that had nothing to do with her secret. But he was right. She couldn't keep bottling up her wolf indefinitely. "One time," she said. "I'll go one time, and then we go back to being strangers." "Whatever you say." But his smile suggested he didn't believe her any more than she believed herself. They made their way back toward the school separately, Kai leaving first to avoid suspicion. By the time Arya reached the parking lot, her phone was buzzing with texts from Maya. "Where did you disappear to? Did Brittany do something? I heard there was drama. Text me back or I'm calling the police." Arya sent back a quick message that she was fine, just needed some air, and headed for the bus stop. The ride home took 40 minutes, winding through neighborhoods that grew progressively less affluent until finally reaching the apartment complex where she and her mother lived. It was clean but worn, the kind of place where nobody asked questions and everyone minded their own business. Her mother wasn't home yet. Her shift at the diner didn't end until 11, so Arya had the apartment to herself. She made a simple dinner of pasta and vegetables, tried to focus on homework, but her mind kept drifting back to Kai, to the way he'd known exactly what to say to help her control the shift, to the offer of a safe place to run, to the way her wolf had responded to him, not with aggression or fear, but with interest, recognition. Like maybe, after years of isolation, she'd finally found someone who understood. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. "It's Kai. Maya gave me your number. Don't be mad at her. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Meet me at the corner of Pine and 7th. We'll go to the safe spot. No pressure. Just think about it." Arya stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. "How do I know I can trust you?" The response came quickly. "You don't, but you trusted me enough to let me help you earlier, and your wolf knows I'm not a threat. Trust that." She fell asleep that night with her phone on her pillow, the message glowing in the darkness, and dreamed of running through forests under a full moon, free and unafraid, with someone running beside her who understood exactly what it meant to be wild. Saturday morning came cold and clear. Arya woke at 5:30, careful not to disturb her mother, who was finally getting a rare weekend off. She dressed in layers. It was November in the mountains, and even with her shifter metabolism, the cold could bite. As she slipped out of the apartment, she caught her reflection in the hallway mirror and paused. She looked different lately. Not just older, but sharper somehow. Her features more defined, her eyes brighter. The suppression was wearing on her, making her wolf push closer to the surface in every unguarded moment. Kai was waiting at the corner in a black SUV, engine running. When she climbed into the passenger seat, he handed her a travel mug. "Hot chocolate," he said. "Figured you for more of a sweet person than a coffee person." You figured right. The gesture warmed her more than the drink. "So, where is this place?" "You'll see." They drove in comfortable silence through the awakening town, then up into the mountains on increasingly narrow roads. The trees grew denser, the air sharper with pine and earth. Finally, Kai turned onto what looked like a barely used fire road and parked in a small clearing. "From here, we walk," he said, "about 20 minutes." The hike was steep but beautiful, the morning sun filtering through the trees in golden shafts. Arya could feel her wolf stirring, excited by the wilderness, by the promise of freedom. When they finally emerged into a large meadow surrounded by forest, she understood why Kai had brought her here. It was perfect, hidden, protected, and humming with natural energy that called to her shifter soul. "This land has been in my family for generations," Kai said. "There are wards here, old magic that keeps humans away and hides shifter presence. You can change here without worry." Arya walked to the center of the meadow, feeling the grass beneath her feet, the wind in her hair. Her wolf was howling now, demanding release. She looked back at Kai. "Turn around." He raised an eyebrow. "I'm a shifter too. It's not like—" "Turn around." He did, facing the tree line with his hands in his pockets. Arya quickly shed her clothes, folding them neatly, and then let go of the control she'd been maintaining for so long. The transformation hurt, it always hurt, but there was pleasure in it too, the feeling of becoming what she was meant to be. Her bones reshaped, her senses sharpened, and within seconds, a large silver-gray wolf stood where Arya had been. She shook out her fur and let out a howl that echoed across the meadow. Behind her, she heard the rustle of fabric, and then a massive black panther emerged from where Kai had been standing. He was beautiful, all sleek muscle and predatory grace, his eyes the same dark gold as Kai's human form. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Arya took off running, and Kai followed. They raced through the forest, leaping over fallen logs, splashing through a creek, climbing rocks, and racing down hillsides. Arya's wolf reveled in the freedom, in the power of her own body, in the simple joy of movement. And having Kai there, another shifter, someone who understood, made it even better. They weren't hunting or fighting, just playing, the way young shifters did before life got complicated. When they finally returned to the meadow, both breathing hard, the sun was high overhead. Arya shifted back first, quickly pulling on her clothes, and Kai followed suit. "Thank you," she said when he turned around. "I needed that more than I realized." "I know." He sat down in the grass, and after a moment, she joined him. "How long had it been since you shifted?" 3 months, maybe longer. He winced. "That's dangerous, Arya. Your wolf needs to run, especially at your age. Suppressing her that long can cause serious damage, psychological and physical. I don't have a choice. If anyone finds out what I am, I know. But you have a choice now. You can come here whenever you need to. The wards will keep you hidden." He paused. "And I can come with you, if you want. It's safer to run with a partner." Arya drew her knees up to her chest, studying him. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." "I know enough." Kai plucked a blade of grass, twirling it between his fingers. "I know you're strong enough to survive exile from one of the most powerful Lycan packs. I know you're smart enough to win a scholarship to Crescent Valley. I know you're brave enough to face down Brittany Chen instead of cowering. And I know your wolf recognizes mine, which doesn't happen often." "What do you mean?" He looked at her then, his expression serious. "Shifters can sense each other, sure, but there's another level, a deeper recognition. When two shifters meet and their animals acknowledge each other as compatible, it's rare, special." Arya's heart was pounding. She knew what he was talking about, had felt it from the first moment Kai had spoken to her. Her wolf had known, even if Arya hadn't wanted to admit it. Compatible how? "That depends on the shifters in question." He smiled, but it was tentative. "Sometimes it means allies, sometimes friends, sometimes mates," Arya finished quietly. "Sometimes," Kai agreed. "But that's not what I'm saying this is. I'm just saying there's a connection between us, and I think we'd both be stupid to ignore it." Before Arya could respond, her phone buzzed. She pulled it out to find 3 missed calls from her mother and a text that made her blood run cold. "Where are you? Someone came by asking about you. Said he was from your old pack. I told him you weren't here, but I think he knows you're in town. We need to talk, now." Arya stood abruptly. "I have to go." Kai was on his feet instantly, reading her expression. "What's wrong?" "Someone from Silvermane found me. Her hands were shaking. I don't know how, but they know I'm here." Okay, we can handle this." Kai's mind was clearly racing. "Do you know who it was?" "My mother didn't say." Arya was already moving toward the path. "But if they found our apartment, it's only a matter of time before they find me at school. I need to figure out what to do." They practically ran back to the car, the easy joy of the morning completely shattered. During the drive back to town, Kai kept glancing at her, his jaw tight with tension. "You could come stay with my family," he said finally. "Our house has security, wards. They couldn't get to you there. I'd barely know you, and you want me to move into your house? I want you to be safe." The simple honesty in his voice made her chest tighten. "I can't drag you into this." "You have no idea what the Silvermane pack is capable of. Neither do you, apparently, since you've been hiding from them for 5 years. Maybe it's time to stop running and face them." He pulled up to the corner where he'd picked her up. "At least think about it. And Arya, whatever happens, you're not alone in this anymore." She wanted to argue, to maintain the distance she'd worked so hard to keep. But as she looked at him, This boy who'd helped her without asking for anything in return, who'd given her wolf freedom and offered his strength. She realized he was right. She wasn't alone anymore. And maybe that was exactly what she needed. "I'll text you," she said, "after I talk to my mother." She ran the 3 blocks to her apartment, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Her mother was pacing the small living room, still in her waitress uniform, her face drawn with worry. "Mom!" "Arya!" Her mother pulled her into a fierce hug. "Thank the moon you're okay. Where were you?" "I was with a friend. It doesn't matter. Who came here? What did they want?" Her mother released her and sank onto the couch. "His name was Marcus Webb. He said he was Beta of Silvermane now, looking for members of the Silvermane bloodline. He showed me pictures of you from the school website. Apparently, the academy posted about their new scholarship recipients. He put it together." Marcus Webb. Arya remembered him, her father's second in command, loyal and fierce. If he'd been promoted to Beta, it meant the pack structure had changed significantly since they left. "What did you tell him?" "That you were just a student, nothing special. That we'd left the pack life behind and weren't interested in returning." Her mother's hands twisted in her lap. "But Arya, he knows. He recognized your bloodline in those photos. He said the pack needs you, that things have changed." "Changed how?" "He wouldn't say. Just that Alpha wants to meet with you, that it's urgent." Arya felt cold. The Alpha of Silvermane was currently her uncle, Dimitri, her father's younger brother, who'd taken over after challenging and killing him. Dimitri was ruthless, ambitious, and had never approved of Arya's mother. The idea of meeting with him made every instinct scream danger. "We need to leave," Arya said. "Pack what we can and go, tonight." "And go where?" Her mother's voice was tired. "We've been running for 5 years, Arya. I'm exhausted. And you need to be around your own kind. I've watched you suppress your wolf, watched you isolate yourself. It's killing you. It's keeping us safe, is it?" Her mother stood, cupping Arya's face in her hands. "Or is it just postponing the inevitable? The pack will always find us. Maybe it's time to stop running and figure out what they actually want. They want to use me, use my bloodline for whatever power play Dimitri is planning. Maybe, or maybe Marcus was telling the truth and things have changed. You're old enough now to make your own choices. If you want to meet with them, I'll support you. If you want to run, we'll run. But whatever we do, we face it together." Arya closed her eyes, leaning into her mother's touch. The woman had given up everything for her. Her pack, her position, her connection to her own wolf nature. She deserved better than endless running. "I need to think," Arya said finally. "Can you tell me if Marcus gave a number, a way to contact him?" Her mother pulled a business card from her pocket. "He said to call when you were ready to talk. No pressure, no threats, just a conversation." Arya took the card, studying the embossed silver moon symbol, the seal of Silvermane. Looking at it made her feel like she was 17 again, watching her father's funeral pyre, hearing her uncle's cold declaration that she and her mother were no longer welcome in pack territory. Her phone buzzed, another text from Kai. "You okay? I'm worried." She found herself smiling despite everything. Having someone worry about her, someone who wasn't her mother, felt strangely good. "I'm okay. Need to figure some things out. Can we talk tomorrow?" "Anytime. I'm here." That night, Arya dreamed of her father. He looked the way she remembered. Strong, kind, with eyes that shifted between human brown and wolf amber. In the dream, they were in the meadow where she'd run with Kai, and her father was watching her with an expression of pride. "You're stronger than you know, little wolf," he said. "Stronger than I ever was. Don't let fear make you small." "I'm not afraid," she argued. "Aren't you?" He smiled sadly. "You're so afraid of what happened to me, of the violence and politics, that you've forgotten what it means to be Silvermane. We're not just warriors. We're protectors, leaders. You have that in you, but you'll never know it if you keep running." She woke with tears on her cheeks and her wolf howling mournfully inside her chest. It was still dark outside, hours before dawn, but she knew she wouldn't sleep again. She padded to the kitchen, made tea, and stared at Marcus's business card. By the time the sun rose, she'd made her decision. At school on Monday, Arya found Kai between classes and pulled him aside. "I'm going to meet with them," she said without preamble. "The Silvermane representative. I need to know what they want." Kai's expression tightened. "When?" "Tomorrow after school. He wants to meet at Neutral Ground, that coffee shop downtown. I'm coming with you." "Kai, I'm coming with you," he repeated firmly. "You don't walk into a potentially dangerous situation with a powerful pack alone. That's non-negotiable." The protective tone in his voice made her wolf purr with approval, which was annoying and thrilling at the same time. "This isn't your fight. You became my fight the moment I decided to help you." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Besides, what kind of friend would I be if I let you face this alone?" "Friend?" She raised an eyebrow. "Well," his lips quirked, "we can negotiate the exact terminology later, but right now, I'm coming with you tomorrow. Deal?" "Deal." She felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. "Thank you. Always." The word hung between them, weighted with promise. The next day crawled by with agonizing slowness. Arya could barely focus in her classes, too busy running through scenarios in her head. What did Silvermane want? Why now, after 5 years? And why was her uncle sending Marcus, who'd been loyal to her father, instead of coming himself? When the final bell rang, Kai was waiting by her locker. "Ready?" he asked. "As I'll ever be." They walked to the coffee shop in silence. It was a small place called The Grind, popular with students and locals alike. Marcus had chosen well, public enough to be safe, but with private corners for sensitive conversations. Arya spotted him immediately, sitting at a corner table with his back to the wall. He looked older than she remembered, his hair graying at the temples, but his eyes were the same sharp amber that marked him as a high-ranking wolf. He stood as they approached, his gaze flicking to Kai with clear assessment. "Arya," he said, "you've grown." "Marcus." She remained standing, not accepting his offered handshake. "This is Kai. He's a friend." "A panther?" Marcus's nostrils flared slightly. "Interesting company you're keeping. Is there a problem with that?" Kai's tone was mild, but Arya could sense the tension in him. "Not at all. Please, sit, both of you." Marcus waited until they'd settled before continuing. "Thank you for agreeing to meet. I know this must be difficult. What does Dmitri want?" Arya asked bluntly. Marcus's expression flickered. "Your uncle is dead, Arya. He was killed in a challenge 3 months ago." The words hit like a physical blow. Whatever she'd been expecting, it wasn't that. What? Dmitri was challenged by an outsider, a wolf named Constantina from the Eastern Territories. He won, took control of the pack. Marcus' jaw tightened. He's been systematically replacing all the old guard with his own people. The pack is falling apart. People are scared. "That's terrible," Arya said carefully. "But I still don't understand what this has to do with me. The pack needs a legitimate alpha, someone with true Silvermane blood, someone who has the right to challenge Constantine." Marcus leaned forward. "You're the last direct descendant of the original bloodline. Your great-grandfather was Alpha. Your father was Alpha. You have the legal right to challenge for pack leadership." Arya laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. "You want me to fight an Alpha who killed Dmitri? I'm 18 years old, Marcus. I've been living as a human for 5 years. I can barely control my shifts." "Then we'll help you train." Marcus' voice took on an urgent quality. "Arya, you don't understand. Constantine is brutal. He's killed anyone who opposes him, exiled families that have been part of Silvermane for generations. The pack is dying. We need you." "No." Arya stood, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry, but no. I left that world behind. I'm not going back just to be slaughtered." "Arya, please." She said no. Kai stood as well, placing himself slightly between Arya and Marcus. "I think we're done here." Marcus's eyes hardened. "The pack could find other ways to compel you. Your mother is off limits," Arya said, her voice dropping to something that made her wolf's presence clear. "If anyone from Silvermane goes near her, I'll make sure every shifter council in North America knows about it. You'll have bigger problems than Constantine." For a long moment, the three of them stood in tense silence. Then Marcus's shoulders sagged. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "That was out of line. I'm just desperate. These are my people dying, Arya. People your father protected. He would have wanted you to help them." The words struck deep, because they were true. Her father had loved his pack, had died for them, but he'd also died because of their politics, their endless power struggles. "My father is dead because of pack politics," Arya said. "I won't make the same mistake. I'm sorry for what's happening, truly, but I can't be what you need me to be." She turned and walked out, Kai following close behind. They made it 2 blocks before her knees gave out and she had to grab a street lamp for support. "Hey, easy." Kai's hand steadied her. "You did the right thing." "Did I?" She looked up at him, vision blurring with unshed tears. "What if Marcus is right? What if people are dying and I could stop it?" "Even if that's true, and we only have his word for it, throwing yourself into a suicide mission isn't the answer. You'd just be another corpse." Kai's hands moved to her shoulders, his touch grounding. "You're not responsible for fixing your pack's problems. They were my father's people. And your father is gone. You don't owe them your life." Logically, Arya knew he was right, but emotionally, the guilt was crushing. She let Kai guide her to his car, let him drive her home in silence, her mind churning with impossible choices. Over the next week, the weight of Marcus's words followed her everywhere. She tried to focus on school, on her friendship with Maya, on the careful dance she and Kai were doing around their growing feelings for each other. But at night, she dreamed of people she'd known as a child, pack members who'd been kind to her, children she'd played with, and wondered if they were suffering. Then Brittany pushed too hard. It happened in the cafeteria on Friday. Arya was eating lunch with Maya when Brittany approached with her usual entourage. "Well, if it isn't the scholarship pet," Brittany said, loudly enough to draw attention. "Tell me, Arya, how exactly did you earn your spot here? Because we all know it wasn't on merit." Maya started to stand, but Arya put a hand on her arm. "I got in the same way anyone else does. Good grades and a decent essay. Please." Brittany's laugh was cruel. "Everyone knows they only let people like you in to meet diversity quotas. You're charity, plain and simple." The words themselves weren't new. Brittany had been making similar comments for weeks. But something about the tone, the public humiliation, the way other students were watching and some were nodding in agreement, made something snap inside Arya. Her wolf surged forward, tired of being suppressed, tired of hiding, tired of treated as less than. "You want to talk about charity?" Arya stood slowly, her voice carrying across the suddenly quiet cafeteria. "Let's talk about how your father's company is under federal investigation for fraud. Or how you're only here because he donates $500,000 a year. Or how everyone in this school knows you're too stupid to pass calculus without paying someone to do your homework. If anyone here is charity, Brittany, it's you." The cafeteria erupted in whispers and gasps. Brittany's face went red, then white. "You little—" She swung at Arya without warning, her fist aimed at her face. Arya caught her wrist mid-swing with reflexes no human should have. For a moment, she considered showing Brittany exactly what she was dealing with, letting just enough of her wolf show to put real fear in the girl's eyes. But then she caught sight of Kai across the cafeteria, his expression alarmed, and remembered what was at stake. She released Brittany's wrist and stepped back. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it." "Miss Thomas!" A teacher pushed through the crowd. "Principal's office, now!" "She started it!" Brittany protested. "Office, both of you." The meeting with the principal was predictably awful. Despite multiple witnesses confirming that Brittany had swung first, Arya was given a week of detention for inflammatory remarks. Brittany got the same, though Arya suspected her father's money would make the punishment disappear. But the worst part came that evening, when Arya got home to find her mother crying at the kitchen table. "Mom," Arya rushed over, "what happened?" "I was fired." Her mother's voice was thick with tears. "Someone called the diner, said I'd been stealing from the register. It's not true, but the owner believed them. I'm blacklisted, Arya. No one in town will hire me now." Arya felt cold understanding wash over her. Silvermane. "Marcus came by after, said it was a demonstration, that they can make our lives very difficult if you don't cooperate. But if you agree to meet with the pack elders, they'll make sure I'm rehired with back pay." "They can't do this. It's extortion." "They can do whatever they want." Her mother wiped her eyes angrily. "They're powerful, Arya. We're not. And I'm tired of fighting. Maybe you should meet with them. Just hear them out properly." "No, we'll figure something else out. I'll get a job. With what time? You're in school and on scholarship. If your grades drop, you lose everything." Her mother stood, squaring her shoulders. "I won't let you sacrifice your future for me. Go meet with them, negotiate. Maybe there's a compromise." Arya knew there wouldn't be. Packs like Silvermane didn't negotiate with 19-year-olds. They'd find a way to force her into what they wanted, one way or another. She texted Kai, "Need to talk. Can you meet?" He responded immediately, "My house. I'll send the address." 20 minutes later, Arya was standing in front of a house that could only be called a mansion. It sprawled across a hilltop, all modern glass and steel, with views of the entire valley. A far cry from her cramped apartment. Kai answered the door himself, taking one look at her face and pulling her inside. What happened? She told him everything. The confrontation with Brittany, her mother losing her job, Marcus's threat. By the end, she was pacing his living room while he watched with growing anger. "They can't get away with this," he said. "They already have, and they'll keep escalating until I give them what they want." Arya stopped pacing, turning to face him. "I have to go back, Kai. I have to at least meet with them." "Then I'm going with you." "To Silvermane territory? They'd never allow it." "Then we don't tell them." Kai moved closer, his expression determined. "My family has resources. We can keep you safe, make sure they can't force you into anything. But you can't go alone." Arya wanted to argue, but the truth was, she was terrified. The idea of facing her old pack without backup made her wolf whine anxiously. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. "You barely know me, and you're willing to risk yourself against an entire Lycan pack?" Kai was quiet for a moment, his dark eyes searching hers. "Because when I first saw you in that hallway, when Brittany pushed you down, and you looked up with fire in your eyes instead of fear, I knew you were different. And then when I learned you were a Lycan in hiding, fighting your own nature to protect your mother, I knew you were special. I don't have many people in my life who understand what it means to be different, to hide what you are. But you do. And He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear with gentle fingers. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose you." The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Arya's heart was racing, her wolf pacing excitedly. And for once, she didn't fight the feeling. "I don't want to lose you either," she admitted. Kai smiled, slow and warm. "Then we'll figure this out together. Come on, let me show you something." He led her through the house to a study, lined with old books. One wall was covered with what looked like a family tree. But when Arya looked closer, she realized it wasn't just Kai's family. It was a map of shifter bloodlines across North America. "My family has been tracking shifter politics for generations," Kai explained. "It's how we've stayed safe. Information is power." He pointed to a section marked Silvermane. "Your pack has been unstable for years, since before your father died. There have been 12 alphas in the last 30 years. That's unheard of. I knew it was bad, but not that bad. It's worse. The pack is cursed." He pulled out an old journal, flipping to a marked page. "About 40 years ago, the alpha at the time, your great-uncle, I think, made a deal with a witch. She promised to make Silvermane the strongest pack in North America, but there was a price. Every alpha since has died violently, and none have held power more than 5 years. The curse can only be broken by a true heir, someone with the original bloodline who can claim the alpha position and survive 1 year." Arya felt her blood run cold. "That's why they want me. They think I can break the curse. Maybe you can. You're strong, Arya, stronger than you know. But even if you could, it's not your responsibility." Kai closed the journal. "Unless you want it to be." Did she? Arya thought about her father, about the pack members she'd known, about the legacy her family had left behind. And she thought about the life she'd built here, small, quiet, but hers, free from violence and politics. "I don't know what I want," she admitted, "but I know I need to protect my mother. Whatever else happens, that's my priority." Then we start there. Tomorrow, we call Marcus and arrange a meeting, but we do it on your terms, in neutral territory with backup. Kai's expression was fierce. "We show them you're not some scared kid they can manipulate. You're a Silvermane heir, and you deserve respect." Something in Arya shifted then. He was right. She'd been running, hiding, apologizing for her existence for 5 years. Maybe it was time to stop being afraid and start being the person her father had raised her to be. "Okay," she said, "let's do it." The meeting was set for Sunday afternoon at the meadow where Arya had first shifted freely, neutral ground protected by wards. Marcus agreed to bring 2 pack elders. Arya insisted on having Kai and Maya there for support. Maya didn't know about shifters, but she knew something serious was happening and refused to be left out. "If you're in trouble, I want to help," Maya had said firmly. "That's what friends do." Sunday came too quickly. Arya dressed carefully in jeans and a leather jacket, her long hair pulled back in a braid. She looked older than her 19 years, more confident. Good. She needed every advantage. The 3 of them arrived at the meadow first, giving Arya time to pace and rehearse what she wanted to say. When Marcus appeared with 2 older wolves, a man and woman both clearly in their 60s, Arya forced herself to stand tall and meet their gazes directly. "Marcus, elders." She nodded respectfully, but didn't bow. She wasn't pack anymore. "Thank you for coming." "Elders," the male elder spoke first, his voice gravelly with age. "I'm Edmund. This is Cassandra. We knew your father well. He was a good man, a strong alpha." "He was," Arya agreed. "And he died because of pack politics. So before we go any further, I need you to understand something. I'm not my father. I don't want to be alpha. I don't want to fight Constantine. And I will not be manipulated or threatened into doing what you want." Cassandra's expression softened. "We understand your hesitation, but child, the pack is dying. Constantine has killed 17 wolves in 3 months. Families are fleeing. Children are orphaned. If something doesn't change, Silvermane will cease to exist." The words hit hard, but Arya stood firm. "That's tragic, truly, but it's not my problem." "But it could be your solution," Edmund stepped forward. "We've been researching the curse, looking for any way to break it that doesn't require combat. We've found something. A ritual that requires the blood of the original bloodline, your blood, but no fighting. If you help us perform it, the curse breaks, Constantine loses his supernatural hold on the pack, and we can challenge him properly. No one expects you to fight, we just need your help with the ritual." Arya glanced at Kai, who was frowning. "What exactly does this ritual entail?" Kai asked. 3 nights under the full moon, which starts this week. Arya would need to come to Packlands, participate in the ceremony, and donate blood for the final night. That's it. "And after?" Arya asked. "What happens to me after the curse is broken?" "You go home, free and clear, with our gratitude." Marcus's voice was earnest. "We'll even ensure your mother's job situation is resolved, and you both receive financial support for your cooperation." It sounded too good to be true, but Arya could see the desperation in their eyes, the genuine belief that this could work. "I need to think about it," she said. "Give me until tomorrow." "The full moon begins tomorrow night," Cassandra said urgently. "If we don't start then, we have to wait another month. More wolves will die." "Then you'll have to wait." Arya's voice was firm. "I'm not making a decision this important without thinking it through. I'll call Marcus by noon tomorrow with my answer." The elders looked like they wanted to argue, but Marcus stepped between them. "We'll wait, but please, Arya, consider what's at stake." After they left, Maya was the first to speak. "Okay, so I definitely need someone to explain what just happened. Did I hear right? Curses? Blood rituals? What the hell?" Arya looked at Kai, who nodded slightly. "Maya, there's something you should know about me," Arya began, "and about Kai." She told her friend everything, about shifters, about her past, about why she'd been hiding. To Maya's credit, she listened to all of it without interrupting, her expression moving from disbelief to wonder to fierce protectiveness. "So you're basically supernatural royalty, being blackmailed by your own people?" Maya said when Arya finished. "And they want you to participate in some potentially dangerous ritual to fix their problems?" "That's the summary, yes." "Then the answer is obviously no. This sounds like a trap." "But what if it's not?" Arya sank onto the grass, her careful composure finally